Hello. Today, the wild ride is taking place in my car, at least partly. I'm currently headed to Chicago on I-94 doing about 6 miles an hour. Looks like between the construction and an accident up ahead, I'll be here for a while. So I'm headed to Chicago to talk to a friend of mine about how he's doing in his middle of life, how he feels about his accomplishments, his legacy, and how in the world he balances career, family, and creative pursuits successfully. He's been doing that for quite a while. He's a pretty smart guy, so I imagine he'll have some interesting things to say. So let's jump right in. I'm here with my friend Mike. You are yet another one of my friends who has played a lot of music, been in bands, that kind of thing, and somehow also managed to have a day job and have it not be something like waiting tables. Mm-hmm. At the same time, you also have a family. Mm-hmm. So I'm just curious, at this stage in your life, you've been sort of balancing all of those things just about as long as we've known each other.
Yeah.
How do you feel about how it's gone?
I feel great.
Really?
I do.
That's
I do
cool.
feel great about it. I've made some things that, while some of them are embarrassing, some of them I'm really proud of, So some of that stuff is out there that I'm very happy about it. There's room for improvement in each of them.
What does that mean?
Working on it. I had a dream teaching job, and I was very comfortable, and I could have kind of ridden out the clock at that place, and it was very tempting to do so. But I felt like I wasn't kind of progressing and using the skills that I had developed, and kind of took the next step. Well, right now, and I'm assistant principal, which is mind-blowing in its own right. But now that I see what you can do in that position, it's pretty appealing. So, and suddenly that's on my radar for a few years down the road.
Wow.
Yeah.
You say you're pretty satisfied with the balancing act. How'd you do it?
We're taught these things when we're young, and it's all about the slow growth. It's like the long, gradual climb. Lay the foundation to get the other things in place down the road, and don't make harsh decisions. Don't make big changes in your life for the sake of excitement. And I've never done that. I've always been a foundation builder, and it's been slow going. As a teacher, I was making $20,000 a year in one of my first few jobs, and my friends dove into these other jobs they didn't find as fulfilling or rewarding, and they didn't really have a long-term plan, but they're making way more money than I was, way more. But I kind of had the mindset, this is slow growth. I'm laying the foundation. It'll be cool down the road, and it's about paying dues. I internalized, dare to be different, do the right thing, and all that stuff. I tried to act on that stuff a little bit.
Well, wait a minute now. How do you dare to be different, but also take the slow and steady wins the race kind of?
I think that's been the balancing act. When the band was doing pretty good in the 90s, there was an opportunity there. We did a couple little tours, and people liked it. And we were like, if we actually got in the van and just went, we could probably make a go at this. And then I weighed the pros and the cons, taking a year off from teaching and going to pursue that. And didn't, because I didn't think it would work. It takes some self-control, and it kind of goes back to not doing everything that you can do. We have to turn down gigs. We've got to think it through and think, wait a minute. Do I want to be at this particular venue on a Thursday night playing for a bunch of people who aren't going to like my music? I might get a couple bucks. I might have a chance to stand on stage and and do my thing, but it's probably just going to make me feel bad in the long run. It's a matter of being selective with the gigs, and because I want to keep doing it. I want to find a way to keep playing music because I love it. It makes me happy, and it's a blast. It's so much fun. Now we practice on Friday, and it passes for a social life for us now, and it's great. I look forward to it. I'm sitting there at work, doing very important things. But as it gets closer to Friday, I'm thinking, this is great. I'm going to see my friends. I'm going to play those stupid songs. I'm going to play them loud, and it's going to be awesome.
That's great.
It is great. And then, we're done by 11:30 or midnight, and then I'm home in bed, up, pruning the hedges and mowing the lawn on Saturday morning, and everybody's happy. Plus, it's just about being kind of realistic and honest about it. And the whole reason we moved to Chicago, I had this rock band, and we moved down here to put records out on this little independent record label. Very exciting time in my life. But I figured out pretty quickly that we weren't that marketable. And the people, they enjoyed the live show, I think, but it was clear that this wasn't going to explode and take over the charts. So then we started trying to find ways to make it work, to kind of work the system. Okay. And then I got to the point where I was in my early and mid 30s, where I started feeling a little bit dishonest on stage.
Really?
Like the music that I was playing, it was the music that I thought I should do for this kind of crowd with this band that I'm playing with on this stage. And it didn't really resonate with me that much. And I felt like I was kind of faking it a little bit. It didn't feel kind of age appropriate for me. That's when that band stopped. we put together the other band, my second band, the Bon Mots. I'm very proud of that band, and it was fun. It was fun to do age-appropriate stuff, not trying to rock, not trying to like melt faces, but just trying to be really thoughtful and really produce the songs. And that was great. It was really nice stepping back and not trying to produce something that we hoped other people would like, but trying to produce something that we liked and that felt honest. This band that I'm playing in now, we just took that and just took it a little bit further and just went back to the 70s and 80s and the stuff that I liked when I fell in love with music.
Sure.
Let's pick all the cliches from all the classic rock stuff from the 70s and 80s, just because that made me fall in love with music. And maybe it'll do the same for somebody else. And if not, well, whatever, we're having fun.
The way that you approach making music at this juncture is more about like just having a good time, being with your friends, and
Absolutely.
as opposed to it being something that you're kind of balancing against, like you said, like, do I take a leave of absence to try to, to go for the brass ring? Or
the first thing kind of ran its course, and then this honesty thing came on about really assessing my place in this world, what I want to get out of this, and then besides what I want to get out of it, what's realistic to expect out of it. Setting more realistic goals for the projects instead of becoming rock stars. We just kind of gave up on that. Let's just make some good stuff.
Was there a precipitating event that made you take stock and come to these kinds of conclusions?
It was kind of a slow evolution. I remember we did this East Coast tour. It wasn't really a long tour. It was just like 10 cities. And it was a blast, and people liked us. And anyhow, we got back to Chicago, and we had the conversation like, look, I think it's time for us to make a decision. Are we gonna tour and do this? Or are we just going to work and do our jobs and play every month and a half or so? I'll be honest about this. For a few years after that meeting, I remembered it this way. I remembered it me being like a rallying cry to the troops. Like, come on, you guys, we can do this.
Yeah.
If we'll just go on tour, we can make a go of this. And they all said, nah, let's just stay here and play every month and a half. And I remember being very disappointed and thinking, I can't believe the guys in my band chose this. They've reminded me a few times, and I've finally come to actually remember this. It was that I had summers off because I was a teacher, and I wanted to have those guys take the summer off too, and we'd go tour on summers. And they said, we'll tour if you want to take a year off of work and go in the fall when bands tour. And I wasn't willing to do this. Here's that foundation laying again. Yeah, so that was the truth of it. So that's kind of where the decision was made. So I was kind of like 7 years into the career, maybe not that much, 4 years. But I was starting to settle into it a little bit and starting to see myself as kind of, this middle-aged guy.
Was there any sadness for you when that shift happened? I mean, I imagine there had to be some.
Tons. Yeah, no, it was very sad. It was a bummer. I remember going down to the practice space and seeing the old gig posters on the wall, and the drum kit, the drummer, moved, and there's this kid. I had a couple times I just stood down there and just, and it was very sad. It was a great time in my life, but on to the next thing.
How did you work through that?
Just focusing on the other things that I had going on. Luckily, having done it for so long, I always knew people. I always knew players. There's always another project coming around the bend that I could focus on.
So I think it helps, or probably helped some, these other things that you focused on, that you were fairly happy with them.
Yeah.
You liked being a teacher. And
exactly.
You were in a good relationship that was moving forward.
We're all having the same situation, the same midlife crisis. I'm freaking out about it on a daily basis. But for me, I've got to have a project. I've got to be working on something, whatever it is, whether it's a band or a record or something cool at my school that I was working on when I was a teacher. There are 6 years where I just worked with a group of kids to raise $900,000 in grants to put solar panels on the building. Oh, wow. And then when that went away, then it was like, all right, what's next? What's next? So now this new career change is what it is now. That's the project. But the thing that terrifies me is to be so settled down in life where all I do is cruise the web or read a book, and have dinner with my wife and kids every night. And that's great. I love doing those things. But to find myself so settled down where I don't have the next thing in front of me, that's terrifying to me. That's right at the center of my midlife crisis freak out. And I've been thinking a lot about this concept of next times, like we've all done a lot of things in our lives that are very important, and you always learn from them, and you think, oh, well, next time I do this, I'll make sure that I ... But what I'm realizing is that in the 40s, you start running out of next times. There is no next family I'm going to have. There is no next career I'm going to have. I don't know if there's going to be a next band. I hope there will be, but I can't count on that. So this is where it starts to get a little scary. So I feel very lucky that I've got the handful of things that I have now going for me.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Right on.
Welcome to Mr. Snail's Wild Ride. I am Mr. Snayl, and
Alright, please eat it. Let us just get this done. I forget what the question was. Can you please just let us do this for you? Well, that's fine. Get out of here, kid. What?
what about a swirly?